Well, many British Columbians will no doubt be getting into the holiday spirit in their own different ways. For others, this is a hard time of year for all sorts of reasons. Joining us to talk about how to manage what may be a blue Christmas or something different for you is CBC medical columnist Dr Melissa Lem. Doctor, thanks for being here. How do you talk about the holidays with your patients when they're just not feeling into it or they're genuinely feeling as though something is wrong?
Well, I rely on something that I really love about being a family doctor, which is the longitudinal, ongoing relationship that I have with my patients. So I know what challenges they've been going through, and I can bring their whole self to that appointment. And I start by asking an open-ended question. I ask them, for example, how do you feel about the upcoming holiday season? Or do you have any plans for the holidays? And then take their lead as to whether or not they want to talk about it. But I think it's important to remember for a lot of patients this phenomenon called the anniversary reaction, which is when around a major holiday or at the anniversary of the death of a loved one or their birthday, that suddenly these feelings of anxiety or depression or irritability or even physical illness can come up because it sends a cue essentially to their brains when this date approaches that something has happened and it's etched into our nervous systems. And so I think what we need to do is be aware of these particular dates and then intervene early as family and friends and also healthcare practitioners and keep an eye out for what's going on.
And is there a way that you measure between what may just be, oh, I'm tired and fatigued from shopping and I'm feeling a little weepy versus there is something deeply wrong?
When it's lasting for longer than 2 weeks, we start to think about it being a major anxiety or depression episode, but also if it's starting to affect your function. If you're not able to function socially or at work or in your personal life, it becomes more of a concern.
So what are the ways that you teach or instruct or pass along to your patients about how they can manage this?
I think it's really important to go back to basics whenever we're trying to manage stress. We know that around the holiday season that 50% of Canadian adults say that they're more anxious, depressed, and isolated. And actually the majority of Canadian adults say that Christmas in particular is the most stressful holiday of the season because of financial pressures or family dynamics or just how busy it gets. So making sure that you focus on those core pillars of health, healthy diet, making sure that you get outside into nature for at least 2 hours a week, making sure you get enough sleep and moving your body and exercising more days than not will really help you form a good foundation for your mental health.
And for somebody who may be away from loved ones, we know that BC, Canada is full of people who've come from other different places to be here. Is there any specific advice for travelers or people who perhaps newcomers to Canada around dealing with some of that loneliness, if they're feeling that?
Well, I think realizing that a lot of people feel the same way that you do, so more than 1/3 of Canadian adults say that they feel lonely, is really important to know that you're not alone. So, for example, making sure that especially around the holidays, staying connected, sending those texts, booking those video and phone calls to stay connected to people far away, but also really focusing on forming traditions of your own where you are. So, for example, the BC Parks Foundation for the past 5 years has been supporting a first day hike tradition where you get outside into nature on New Year's Day to start the new year off in a healthy way, but also don't underestimate the power of volunteering. There's research showing that the happiness parts of our brain actually light up more when we give rather than receive, and it's also a really good way to meet people and feel at home in your own community.
Dr. Melissa Lem, we always appreciate your time and your advice. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan.